and Selenium and DevOps and framework and project. So these things we are covering for our course. So first we'll start with core Java, because if you want to become as a good programmer, you want to become as a good automation engineer, you must be technically sounds good. Technical in the sense, what language you are using to build your automation scripts, that language you must be perfect in that. So I can show you the official website for Selenium will be the selenium.dev is an official website. So here we go. In the banner we can see Selenium automates browsers. That's it. What you do with that power is entirely up to you. Friends, Selenium is an automation tool which automates browsers only. Browsers means web applications. The applications which are open through browser, those are called web applications. So my Selenium 100% automates only web applications, not a window desktop application. That's it. Selenium automates browsers. That's it. What you do with that power is entirely up to you. The power is nothing but not a boost, not a multo. Yes, the thing is, the power of that is for Selenium is language binding. Any one of language you can prefer in knowing the concepts, then we can using the Selenium tool we can build any automation scripts. So we prefer core Java as a base programming language for work within Selenium. Yes, what concepts in core Java will be learning? Yes, so we'll be learning about what is a project, what is a package, what is a Java class, interfaces, abstract classes, method overloading, overriding rules, polymorphism, constructors, loopings, decision-making statements, single-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, user-defined array, if conditions, okay, switch cases, decision-making statements, loopings, scanner classes, variable types, data types and its default values, typecast, Java inheritance, access, non-access modifiers. Okay, na? Strings, Java strings, debugging, exception handling, collections, file systems. All these concepts will be covered. What are the concepts I have delivered right now? Each and every concepts we are will be having the knowledge on it. So after completion of this Java only, we'll go with the Selenium, because what to do, when to do, how to do. If you know the concepts of core Java, how can you build that? So here banner it was clearly saying that what you do with that power is entirely up to you. The power is nothing but the program knowledge. Whatever the program you selected to build your Selenium automation scripts on that program, core OOPS concepts must be aware of it. Even if you want to become as a good programmer in development aspect or testing aspect, programming knowledge is must. That too, OOPS concepts. Any programming language, OOPS concepts is a basic OOPS concepts is required to work with the Selenium. Okay, now. So here, friends, I will give very clear picture on each and every concept in Java concepts, whatever I have discussed right now. I'll give the concept and I'll give some assignments, references for practicing the programs. Technically, you must be sounds good means not knowing the concepts. You must be also aware of doing the programs also. Okay, now I'll make hands free how to work with programs also while giving the concepts. And after that, one more struggle people will face like troubleshootings. Okay, once you know the concepts, where to do, how to do, when to do, when you come to know, then you start writing the programs. Okay, yes, when you write the programs, when we run the programs, there is a chance of occurring of runtime errors in a runtime, right? So we would have to diagnose that. We have to diagnose it where exactly the issue was. So most of the people will struggle there itself. He's seeing here and there who will support us. So don't take anyone's support, friends. It just make friendship with the debugging. Okay. So debugger is one of the where it's supposed to debug that your test case steps. Suppose we have 20 lines of 20 sequence lines, one program is there. Suppose in 20 lines, suppose at particular 8th line some issue occurred. Where it is, what it is, we don't know. So exactly we have to find where it is exactly. So while debugging step-by-step execution only, we'll come to know where exactly the issue was. We can troubleshoot easily. So how to debug the scripts also, I will tell you that. So I'll tell you the basic concepts of language, and I'll give some assignments, and I will make you understand how to debug the scripts step by step. Everything I'll give a very clear picture on it. So once after completion of core Java, then we go with the Selenium automation tool. Of course, we have various automation tools are available in the market, but Selenium has become more popular. So it's a user friendly, and we have so many components. Third party tools are which are supported to build Selenium day to day. Yes, let me show you that. Friends, in Selenium is a tool which has some components. Selenium WebDriver, Selenium ID, and Selenium Grid. Of course, we also have Selenium RC also. RC means remote controller. Okay, WebDriver, IDE, Grid, RC. But RC got deprecated, friends. Only the three components are available in Selenium: Selenium WebDriver, Selenium IDE, and Selenium Grid. The first component in Selenium was Selenium IDE. So Selenium IDE, if you want to work with, not require any programming knowledge. What I said, Java, C Sharp, Ruby, no programming knowledge is required when we are working with Selenium components IDE. It's just a record and playback tool. Just a record and playback tool. Just you record it. Whatever steps you are supposed to be do, before doing that, just start recording and do operations, whatever you want to do. All the statements will be recorded. Lastly, you stop it. Then you play it. Record and playback tool. Just record, do transaction, stop recording and playback. Record and playback tool. Not require any programming knowledge. By default, the backend it stores that recorded steps as a HTML format. Okay, na? But this one, this Selenium ID will be used for pilot projects for getting instant results in producing client for instant results. ID this supports. In case real time, we never use ID, friends, just for to show the instant results to the client if any new project comes. Okay, as for pilot projects, we prefer as an ID in saving the time in producing the instant results in showing to the clients. Okay, so and next here what we recorded, the statements in one browser may sometimes not work in other browsers, and some of the elements may not recorded using Selenium ID. So these all drawbacks as considered, and they have introduced one more component as Selenium WebDriver. So where if you want to work with the Selenium WebDriver, where we must be aware of any one of these language bindings, any one of language bindings, you must be aware of it. By using any one of the language binding, we are going to be build a Selenium WebDriver scripts. A robust browser-based regression automation suites and tests we can build by using the Selenium WebDriver tool, where ID will record it only in one browser, execute in one browser, where in WebDriver we can build in one browser, can execute in n number of browsers. That's what we, if you want to create robust browser-based regression automation suites and tests, then we go with the WebDriver. Developer one browser, WebDriver browser, you can execute in many browsers. Okay, fine. Once you build your Selenium WebDriver scripts, okay, respect browsers, yes, then the same scripts you are supposed to execute for many platforms, OS, and many browsers. How can we execute the single script in executing in multi-platform OS and multiple browsers parallel with the help of the Selenium Grid component? Okay, na? If you want to scale by distributing and running tests on several missions and manage multiple environments from a central point, making it easy to run, the test against the vast combination of browsers and operating system, then we have to use the Selenium Grid. So developing your automation scripts using Selenium we use Selenium WebDriver by using any one of the language binding. That developed automation scripts we are supposed to scale and distribute in executing in many computers, many operating systems, many browsers with the support of the grid concept. So the appropriate combination for Selenium was WebDriver with the grid, which develops robust browser-based regression automation suites and tests by using grid. It scales and distribute in executing your developed scripts parallelly in many operating system and in many browsers using grid concepts. So the appropriate combination for Selenium was, yes, it was WebDriver and okay, na? This combination we use for Selenium. Friends, Selenium is a free. It's an open source. It's not a paid license software. It's an open source. There are so many, some automation tools are there which are paid one like UFT right now, what we are talking. It's a paid license tool, automation tool. But whereas Selenium is an open source. So it's a non-profitable organization. Selenium was a non-profitable organization like you and me can contribute any suggestions, any course, any you want to develop. You can be one of the sponsor level in the Selenium. You can take a membership in a Selenium. There are some so various categories of sponsorship levels are there. Suppose you are the company XYZ, you want to sponsor for the Selenium. Yes, be as a part of the Selenium. As a there are some platinum and gold like these sponsorship levels are there. Be part of that with your company and contribute something for the Selenium where we can contribute some, we can develop, build some codes, improving day to day the Selenium. Likewise here, there are so many sponsor levels are there. As I said, it's a non-profitable organization. Selenium tool is a non-profitable organization. There are so many levels of sponsors are there. They are sponsoring and they are building that Selenium day to day. Selenium level sponsors. Browser stack. These are the companies or the Selenium level sponsors. If you go down, support the Selenium project. What want to support the Selenium project, learn more, or view the full list of sponsors. If you click on learn more, you can see not only Selenium level sponsors, we have gold level sponsors, which is a micro focus organization, silver level sponsors, these are the companies listed, and bronze level sponsors, these are the company listed. These are all companies together sponsoring the Selenium to grow day to day. Would you like to your company be listed in this page? Just click on learn more about sponsoring for Selenium. So these are some terms and conditions that are given like here. So if you want to be a sponsor, any one of the category what I shown you, Selenium level sponsors, you have to pay $20,000, platinum level sponsors, $10,000 like this. If your company wants to be part of the Selenium, being as a sponsor, any one of the category base, yes, your wish, you can be the sponsor level for this. Okay. Okay. So let's come back. Yes. So friends, we're getting some noise. Can you please don't mind being mute? Yes. Kalpanas. Okay, I'm muting you. So fine. So Selenium is a open source tool, free tool, not required to purchase any license. There are so many sponsor teams are there. They are sponsoring and building the Selenium day to day. So what are the components available in Selenium means Selenium WebDriver, Selenium IDE, Selenium Grid, and Selenium RC. 4 components are there. RC got deprecated. Only 3 components are there. Where the appropriate combination for Selenium was Selenium WebDriver with the grid. Using WebDriver, we build a robust browser-based regression automation suites and tests by using Selenium WebDriver. After developing that, we scale and distribute in executing the developed scripts parallelly in many operating systems and many browsers with the support of the grid. This is the appropriate combination for Selenium. Okay, na? So what are the components? What are the concepts which we cover in the Selenium means? Let's come to the yes, this is document. Yeah, let's have a glance. What concepts will be covering Yes, we see that how to launch various browsers and how to make the browser launching program dynamically, because launching a browser is a common functionality for every test case. So how do we launch various browsers and adding the jars dependencies, okay, all those things, we'll see that. And next, coming to that, option classes and profiles concept, because when we are running your test case through manually means everything, your presence will be there. If any source stoppers comes like notifications, proxy settings, any certificate errors, any information bars kind of things, anything occurs when you does manually, your intervention will be there, you can handle that. But when everything we are going through automation means, so everything is automation engineer responsibility. If any notifications comes, you must handle through automation. Any certificate errors comes, you must handle with automation. Everything is automation engineer responsibility. So what we can do, we have to take the browser into our control, because mm, like a what is that mm, information bars, notifications, all these comes through browsers. Certificators, all these comes through browsers. Information bars, all this comes through browsers. Maximizing the browser, all this comes through browsers. Everything needs to be handled through Selenium only on browser, whatever the activities appears when we are running through automation. So in that case, we have to take the browser into our control. We have to vasikarna the browser into our control. So how can we take our control means by just creating our user-defined browser profiles. While creating our user-defined browser profiles, we can take the browsers into our control. So how do we create a user-defined profiles for Chrome, Firefox? I'll show that. Once we take the browsers into our control using the options class, Chrome options class, Firefox options class, while using that respective browser corresponding options class, we can handle like information bars and maximizing the browsers, disabling information bars, notifications, page load strategies, certificates, proxy settings, whatever we can does with on browser manually, the same thing we can does with using options class. If you want to necessary settings, first of all, you have to take browser into our control just by creating our user-defined browser profiles. On that user-defined browser profiles using options class. Okay, and next come to the synchronizations. Friends are where you know that scripts will be very fast in execution, where application elements loading will take more time to load. It will be some delay time to load that any element. If you're putting the target to do the action, and load time will be very slow. So where there is a chance failure of script is fast, application load time is very slow, so there is some gap is there where our scripts are getting failed. We have to put some synchronization between your application web elements and your scripts. So where we use some synchronization methods like thread.sleep, wait. So how we can sync that too, we'll see that. And next, come to the locators. Friends, if web application has so many web elements like text box, radio buttons, checkbox, links, drop downs, okay, web tables, web calendars, whatnot. So many elements are there in your web application. How do I interact them? How do I interact them? Then how we can interact means same simple example. Friends, we are the human beings. We want to identify any person. What we will do? What will you do, friends? If you want to identify any person, what will we do? If I want to identify any person, what I will do, friends? Tell me. If I want to identify any person, what I will do? How can I identify the person?
Identification or ID.
Yes. What is the identification? Generally, if I want to call you, what I prefer to approach you, with what reference, with what property I will approach you? Name,
Name.
name, right? Name is one property. Of course, not only name, every person has some set of properties starting from baby coming from mother womb. First, if any baby come from the mother womb, what we say, hey, baby is very handsome, very colorish, nails are very length, long, like this we say, and like height, weight, the color, complexity. Next, Aadhaar card number. Next, Namakarna we do. First name, last name, nickname, right? If he is staying in US means SSL number. If he is eligible for what card, okay, SSL number. Okay, if you're looking at employee means employee ID. All these are properties. All these are the properties for the persons. Of course, based on the situation, we'll use that property. Suppose the person is working as an employee means, what is the reference to identify that person there to calculate the salaries? If being as employee, I want to calculate salaries.
Employee ID.
Employee ID is a unique ID for identifying the employees for calculating salaries. We are contexting in elections. What is the identity there to identify you as a citizen of India? When you are contexting, that's a you must be eligible, you
Yes.
must be registered as a voter. You must be a member of, right, which is like voter card we call it. Suppose you are purchasing any electronic goods. What is the identity there? Aadhaar card number, right?
What?
Aadhaar card. Yes. So based on situation, we are using the identity. So every person have identity properties. By using that unique identity properties, we are identifying the particular object. Similar way, in our web application also, we have so many web elements are there. How do we identify the web elements? Every web element have some set of properties like how human being has ID, name, class name, XPath, CSS, link text, parser text, tag name, like this. So many properties are there, attributes. By using these identical properties, we are interacting the web elements. So especially on locators, we'll talk like 6 hours because other people will struggle on and working with locators only. And in that, especially XPath, CSS, selectors, how do we write our customizer? 2 days we'll be talking on it. Out of 6 days, out of 6 hours, 4 hours is basic understanding of locators, and rest of 2 hours will be working on writing our own XPaths and own CSS selectors dynamically. We'll see some examples also in some applications. Marvin project. So this is a build tool. In real time, if any project you want to build, we're using some build tools. Of course, we have so many build tools. Ant is there, Marvin is there, Gradle is there. Of course, Ant is deprecated. Now, right now, Marvin and Gradle, these are the build tools where we can build any projects. So we'll be using the Marvin build tool. How can we build our projects? How can we add the dependencies? How can we add the configurations? Okay. How can we run the goals? Okay. How to run your project through Marvin build? Okay, now through POM XML, all those things we'll start in the Marvin build projects and TestNG framework. Friends, don't have any built-in frameworks where TestNG is one of the Java defined framework. TestNG is a Java defined framework. So using the TestNG framework, we are building our projects. In TestNG, mainly we use the annotations. Before annotations, after annotations, test annotations, listeners, data providers. We have so many annotations are there. Everything we build through annotations, execute through annotations only. Okay, na? So here we'll see that how to create SMG classes, what annotations takes place, executions. If we have more annotations, if you don't want to execute particular test case, how do we skip it? How do we set up priorities when we are executing the multiple test cases? How to run your test cases parallelly? How to set the test dependencies? How to group the test cases? How to work with the listeners? How to work with the data providers? How to report it using assertion classes, soft assets and hard assets? And we'll do one small pilot project in a TestNG framework. So end-to-end TestNG will be working for 9 hours. Any project will be use the build tool Marvin and framework as a TestNG. Without this, we never build any programs, any projects. And come to the page object model. Page object model is one approach where how we organize the pages. See friends, if you're talking about a web application means In our web application, we have a number of pages. Together pages we call as a one website. Yes or no? How well you organize the pages. Okay. Instead of maintaining complexity in the pages, we down the pages. Each page contains some web elements and some operations. Page level web elements and operations we organize in separate Java classes. 10 web pages are there, 10 Java classes. Okay, so all these things we'll see that, friends. So automating links. So majority of the web elements in your applications, we can find the links. Static links will be there, dynamic links will be there, broken links will be there, hidden links will be there. Okay, now how do we interact the links? A single link or group of links in a page or specific header portion links, how to interact? All these things one fine day will talk about automating links. And coming to the automating drop downs. Yes, in drop downs where we used to select the option, single option and multi options. How do we select the options in drop down? In various approaches, using by send keys, using by select class, using by JavaScript executors, using by action classes. How do we select various options in drop downs? You'll see that. And coming to the pop-ups. So some of the pop-ups will appear when we are running your scripts, like a security pop-ups, JavaScript pop-ups, HTML pop-ups, Windows pop-ups. Various pop-ups will be occur during executions and stops your executions. How can we handle various types of pop-ups in automation? We'll see that. And come to the actions class. Some of the elements, some of the advanced elements can't be interacted directly with the WebDriver. In that case, we will take a support of the actions class. So here mouse hovering elements, right clicking, double clicking, chain actions, dragging and dropping elements, automating slide bars, like this kind of advanced elements we perform with the WebDriver, then we'll take a support of the actions class. We'll discuss all those things. And JavaScript executors. What how we write a WebDriver scripts using SELENIUM WebDriver, interacting web elements, how we perform the actions. The same thing we can do with JavaScript executor also. One fine day we'll talk about JavaScript executor. How do we identify the elements? How do we write a scripts in using JavaScript executor also? I will tell you that. And coming to the Windows components. Friends, my SELENIUM will not automate the Windows elements. It only automates the web elements only. Okay, now if any window elements appears during execution of the SELENIUM using the, when we are running web applications, suddenly some Windows elements occurs. How can we handle them? Nothing to worry. So we will have some open source Windows automation tools are there. AutoIT, Supli, Robotics, like these Windows automation tools are there. By using any one of the free Windows automation tool, we can automate and we can execute it. I'll tell you how to download, how to install, how to write AutoIT code, how to compile the code, how to associate this AutoIT code into the WebDriver script. Everything we will discuss on it. And next come to that automating web tables. So some of the elements will be present inside tables, like static tables, dynamic tables will be there. How do we work with different approaches? And in web tables, we have calendars and paginations web tables are there. Pagination web table means one table will be there which contains 10 rows only. If the 10 rows completed, next 11 to 20 has to come. So when I click on next button only, next page will come. Next in next page, one more table comes which is indexing with 11 to 20. That 20 fill there. Now next page I want to go with. If I click on next, 21 to 30 will come. Like this web table paginations. How do we work? Web tables, web calendars, static tables, dynamic web tables. We'll talk about this web table concept. And when we are automating the scripts, so each step requires some test data. Where do we organize the test data? There are various data sources are there. In that respect to data sources, we are going to be organized. From there, we are taking the to the script like log4j, properties files, XML files, Microsoft Excels. These are the various data sources where we use to organize our test data in giving to the test case steps. So only for this all this data management, we'll talk about 7 to 8 hours. And next come to the grid. So if you want to scale and distribute your developed WebDriver scripts parallelly in many operating systems and many browsers, we take support of the grid. In grid, we used to do some configurations like creating the hub and the nodes, and there we pass the desired capabilities. Desired capabilities we are passing and passing that the hub IP address. Okay, all these things and be in many operating systems and many browsers. So this is what we're going to be discussed in the Selenium WebDriver Builder. And let's come to the DevOps. So DevOps is a culture which extends so have. Yes, DevOps has Ant build tool, Maven, Gradle build tools, and CDCA pipeline, Jenkins, and we have a SV and source control tool like SVN, VSS. Okay, we have so many components are there like Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Dockers, Kubernetes, like this Micro Focus, like this. So many components together we call as a DevOps as culture, where DevOps will be used by the developers, will be used by the testers, will be used by the integration team, will be used by the deployment team. Almost every sector team will be used by use that DevOps. Where testers, we are mainly focused on the components as Maven build and source versioning control tool as GitHub servers and CDCI, Jenkins. These are the three components which we cover in DevOps. And come to that frameworks, we will be covering the test ng, age object model, data given, and lastly we do the project. And the benefits you get, you'll get soft copy metal, get soft copy metal for Java and Selenium, and recorded videos for 1 year view access, and the source code daily whatever we develop the programs for Java, Selenium project. Yes, you will get recording sessions for 1 year view.
Okay, fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So we'll discuss the what you said, like what is the difference in the class, what is the difference in the inside the variables. The variables which are defined inside the class, inside the method is called local variables. The variables which are defined inside a class is called instance variables. We'll see that all the scopes, where do we access, okay, how do we access them. When we talk about variable types, then we'll discuss all detail. Okay, as you asked right now, yes, the variables which are defined inside a class, these are called instance variables. The variables which are defined inside the method, so inside the method defined, right, these are called local variables. You can also observe the colors also. See the observation of color of the instance variable. See A, B results are colored with what? A, B result. What color of them? Blue color. Yeah. See the local variables X and CH. What is the color of this? Brown color, right? Some brown, something like red or whatever it is. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Local variables. Here, the value of the local variable CH is not used. So this is local variable. CH is local variable. X is local variable. Got it? The variables which are defined inside a method are called as the local variables. The variables which are defined outside the method means these are instance variables.
Okay.
Okay, we'll discuss all this. So, what questioner? What is a class means? Say class is a plan, template, blueprint, anything we can see. Next question. What class plan contains? You should say class plan contains some data properties, some behaviors. We are planning inside class based upon requirements. Yes or no? In a class, we are planning some data properties and behaviors based on the client requirement. What kind of behaviors means? You should say concrete behaviors. Concrete behavior means the behavior which has a body open close curly brackets. This kind of behaviors we call as a concrete behaviors. The behaviors which has a body open close curly brackets. These behaviors we call concrete behaviors. Concrete behaviors. So next, how do we access this class properties and behaviors? Means by creating class object. By creating class object. So what is the process of object creation? New keyword, class name of is a class object. Store into a variable of type second class type. What class of the same type we have to give that. So with the class reference variable, we are going to be access the whatever in the class plan, everything we can access by this class reference variable. Okay, na? So next question. Can I create more than one object for this class? Means yes, class is collection of objects. See friends, if I have plan, same building plan I can execute in constructing many villas. Yes or no? Now we're talking about group villas, row villas. One plan we're building in constructing many villas. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Of course, for every villa construction, we purchase building blocks. The similar way, class is collection of objects. For one class plan, we can have multiple objects. For one building plan, how many building blocks we purchase? The similar way, for one we can create a number of objects. Class is collection of objects. Obj1 with this reference variable obj1 dot add obj1 sub. Class is collection of objects. For one class, we can create number of objects. Okay.
Yes.
Is everyone clear? Today we have discussed about creating the project, creating the pack, and creating the class with standards, and what is a class, what class plan contains, how we access the class, planned properties and behaviors by class object creation. All those things we have seen in the today's session. Next class will be Monday. On Monday, we'll be talking about interfaces and abstract classes. This is the agenda for the Monday session. The sessions will goes on Monday to Friday. Okay. So any doubts in the today's session, please let me know.
Yes. So tomorrow there will be class.
There is no class, madam. Tomorrow there is no class. Monday to Friday class.
Oh. Yeah, yeah,
Sir,
Madam.
look, can you provide software?
Provide
Software.
software we can install, madam. It's a free only. Actually, I shown you right how to install those things.
Yeah, okay.
So you'll get the recordings. Once you have done the payment, you'll be getting the video access. Whatever we are discussing daily.
Okay.
It will be
Okay.
it is a view for one year access. View access will be given for 1 year. So you
Already
can
I'm done the payment, sir.
okay. Today I'll be taking mail IDs. Okay. Yesterday I
Okay.
forgot to mail IDs. Today definitely I'll take the mail IDs from the management and we'll share the recordings who are done the payments. Who are not done the payments, complete by this Saturday, Sunday. From Monday onwards, okay, we'll be having
Okay.
regular class continuation. I will be share the recordings, documents. I'll share that, and day basis whatever we are doing the programs also I will share through GitHub servers. Okay,
Okay,
I'll
thank
come
you,
in
sir.
GitHub server that I'll share to everyone. Okay, that is one difference you'll be having. Friends, let me know in this today's class you have any doubt.
sir. Without that concatenation string, we cannot run that program. Plus result
Sorry,
is there.
sorry.
Plus you gave the plus result. Okay, that concatenation string. So without that, we cannot run that program. Any error is
Yes.
coming.
See here. What is this? Any string of
There
this
is
as a string. This is treating as a string. Syntax error. Syntax error. Okay, syntax error.
Okay.
So see, this is a string. This how we give the same we give, but where we given this in double quotations. Any string should be represented in a double quotations. That's why treating as a string. String means this is a string. Anything is represented in this is a string. But result is a variable, right? Huh? Result is a variable, right? A is a variable, B is a variable, result is variable.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, this is a string. Anything is represented in double quotes is a string. Normal I'm giving this is a variable. So we separate with the plus string concatenated with variable result. Okay, na? Got it?
Okay. Okay, sir.
When you are writing like this means this should already should be declared as a variable. Already declared, right? Then we can give like this. But if you're not giving plus means it treats like some syntax error the program is doing. It is throwing some error. No, it is not error. This is a variable. This is string. These two I want to combine. Then give as a plus operator between this. That's it.
Okay, sir. Thank
Any
you.
doubt? Yeah. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Yeah. Friends, if you don't have any queries, we are good to stop for today. So we'll meet on Monday. Okay, we'll meet on Monday. If people who are
Yes.
not on the payment, please complete your payments by Saturday and Sunday. And if any one of your friends are looking for trainings, please ask them to join for a batch. Okay, na? From Monday onwards.
Yes.
Sir, to
Thank you,
whom we
friends.
have to
Yeah.
contact regarding payment?
So management will communicating you because you already registered while you're joining this meeting. So management will have your mail ID, your contact number. They will call you in personally. Okay.
No, sir. They didn't
Fine.
contact us
They
because
will call, man.
yesterday also.
Yes, because see, first 2 days they will not communicate. After 2 days only people will be communicating you. Okay, na?
Okay.
Okay,
This
sir.
is the free session, right? That's why our management will not connect you. Okay. So today you'll be getting the calls. Okay, na? From today onwards you'll get the follow-ups calls also. You get that from management.
What
Please call
what is
them.
the course duration, sir?
Course duration will be 2.5 months.
2.5 months. Okay.
2.5 months.
You are covering test in the Cucumber and everything, sir?
Yes, yes,
Frameworks.
yes.
Okay.
These are
Okay.
things
Can I
we
get
are
course
covering.
content?
Core Java, Selenium, WebDriver Grid. In DevOps, Maven, GitHub Server, Jenkins, hands-on will give that. Frameworks, we go TestNG, page object model, data-driven, hybrid Cucumber, and lastly, we do one project. And the benefits you get
Okay.
soft copy material for Java and Selenium, recorded videos for 1 year view access, and source code will share to GitHub server on daily basis. And duration will be 2.5 months.
Okay, sir.
It's all structure, okay?
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll meet on Monday. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. So, friends, welcome back. So, we have already started the session 2 days ago. So, those people who are joined newly, I was taking a demo session for today. The people who has already joined, 5-6 people are there last 2 days. The people who wants to continue today's class, yes, you can continue because I will take the same repetition class what earlier day was taken demo. Okay, fine. So let me brief myself. My name is Ravi Kanth Lella. So I was your Selenium mentor. So I was taking the course for Selenium end to end, which is like for Java, Selenium, like in Selenium WebDriver Grid are the components we use, and we work with DevOps. Of course, DevOps will be used by all the teams like development, testing, deployment. Okay, all departments will be using DevOps. It contains so many components. As being as tester, we'll be concentrating on Maven, GitHub servers, Jenkins, and we go with frameworks like test ng, data driven, page object model, hybrid. Lastly, we do the project from the scratch to end of execution. We'll see one project, 10 days we'll work on the project like this. So, and what are the prerequisite to take this course? Means friends, any kind of people can take this course, like freshers or experienced persons or non-IT background peoples. Everyone is eligible to take this course. The prerequisite to learn this Selenium is some language banding is necessary, friends. The language banding, in a sense, the Selenium supports various language bandings like Java, C Sharp, Ruby, Python, Scala, Go programming, R language, Haskell, etc., etc. So many languages will supports by my Selenium. By using any one of language banding, we can build your Selenium automation scripts. So as this course is designed for Selenium with Java, so core Java, Selenium, we go with like this. So core Java, in the sense, what concepts will be learning? It's a ocean, right? Yes, OOPS concept, Java OOPS concept is required to learn Selenium, like Java project, packages, classes, interfaces, inheritance, data types and its default values, variable types, typecastings, axis, non-axis modifiers, method overloading, overriding, polymorphism, constructors, loopings, decision-making statements, single dimension array, two-dimension array, user-defined arrays, scanner classes, debugging, strings, file systems, exception handling, collections. All these are the core OOP concepts we are going to be discussed in core Java. What are the concepts I discussed? Each and every concept will be discussed, and I will give you some assignments also, and each concept based. Suppose if I talk about strings. So we starting with developing your project, ending to delivery, we'll work on strings only. So many, every web elements, text boxes we used to enter that. We have to get something from application. Everything is treated as a strings. So how can we do manipulations on strings? Okay, na? So string, we have some string class built-in methods are there. Using that methods, how can we manage those strings? Some exercises, I'll give some practices. And if we talk about collections, some collections, I'll give some assignments. To make hands-free about for loops, I give some pattern programs. Like this concept base, not only concept making to understand, and make aware of that, how to write a programs, how to build a programs. So most of the people will struggle in two ways. One is without knowing the concepts, like where to use, when to use, how to use. That's one struggle. Another way is once we know the concepts, there is a troubleshootings. Once we know the things, once we build the programs, where there is a chance of runtime errors will occur. Generally, human does the errors. That errors will make you irritation that how to find that. You are unable to process that until that troubleshoot, we cannot process that. Yes, how do we troubleshoot that errors during the program execution? So while debugging only, we'll find out that runtime errors. We can troubleshoot it while debugging the scripts. So I'll give the clear concepts, and I'll tell you how to debug the scripts if any runtime error comes where there is a conflict, where there is a fumbling, right? Nothing here to look back. So every concept and every programmatically and their debugging perspective, everything I will give very clear picture on core Java. And after knowing these core Java concepts only, we'll come to the Selenium. Why I'm saying the programming language is must. Yes, that's the base. If you want to become as a good programmer, engineer, good programmer, yes, you must be technically sounds good. How technically you are sounds good programmatically and writing the scripts, yes, then easily you can build your Selenium automation scripts using this tool. The official website for Selenium was selenium.dev is the official website for the Selenium. Here we can see in the banner it says Selenium automates browsers. That's it, which means my Selenium tool will automate web applications only. Browsers means the applications open through browsers we call as a web applications. That's it. My Selenium purely automates web applications, not a window desktop applications. Only the applications which are open through browser, web applications only. So what you do with that power is entirely up to you. What is that power? That power is nothing but not a boost and Moldova. It is the power of the language. Which language you prefer to build the Selenium automation scripts? That language you must be technically sounds good. So we have to know where to use, when to use, how to use, and how to troubleshoot it. Everything you must know about this language, whatever language you prefer, the same process. So here we have put effort. Don't worry, that everything will be given from the scratch, and each and every point will be discussed here. That's what I said, like any kind of people can take this course, a fresher or experienced or non-native background people, everyone. I treat everyone as intensive care. So even the people are experienced person from the scratch, I give that. I know that people say we know all those things. If I put questions, no one will be answered to my questions. So everything from the scratch I'm giving here. Don't treat like we don't know anything. That's what you join this course. Okay. Yes. After completion of Java, we'll come to the Selenium, where in Selenium we have various components in Selenium. If I shown in this website, if I show in this website, here we can see that we have so many components are there in Selenium tool. One is Selenium WebDriver, one is Selenium IDE, another is Selenium Grid, and one more component was there which got deprecated nowadays. That's a Selenium RC. Earlier starting we have 4 components, but one is deprecated, which is Selenium RC that supported the available components in Selenium R, Selenium WebDriver, Selenium IDE, and Selenium Grid. These are the 3 components available in Selenium. The first component in Selenium was Selenium IDE, Integrated Development Environment. So here using IDE, it's a record and playback tool. It's a record and playback tool. If you want to work with Selenium IDE, we not require any programming knowledge, even Java, Python, Ruby, Scala, nothing language is necessary to work with a Selenium IDE. Yes, just you should know how to start, how to trigger recording, how to stop the recording. That's it enough. In starting and stopping, the entire story happens. Once you start recording, what happens? It records whatever transactions you made. And lastly, you stop and playback. That's what. Selenium IDE is a record and playback tool, not required to know any one of languages to work with IDE. But IDE will work. See, once we record in one browser, we'll play in on the same browser, which is not a platform. All the platforms we cannot work, and all the elements, some of the elements, the Selenium IDE will not record. Some of the elements will not be recorded using IDE tool. All these considerations, IDE is not used for in real time. Of course, where we use this IDE means IDE will be used to in pilot projects where any new projects come to you. So as instantly you want to show some results to the clients. So as the pilot projects, you prefer as IDE because we don't have enough time to show to the client. So we do record and playback tool. This is how we're going to automate like this. We showing as instant results to the client. Only for pilot projects we use for IDE. In real time we never use that. So because IDEs works, which browser we recorded in that browser is going to be executed. And one more is all elements are not recorded properly using IDE. These are all the things considered and made one more component, which is Selenium WebDriver. If you want to work with Selenium WebDriver, yes, we must be aware of some programming knowledge like Java, Ruby, C#, Python, Scala, Go programming. Any one of language, you must be aware of it if you want to work with Selenium WebDriver. Yes, What the disadvantage we notice in ID, it records in one browser, plays in that same browser fully, but other browsers will not, may or may not. Of course, earlier it's not, but some case now it works, but not full-fledged. Okay, so here that considered the point, and we are implemented in this. So using WebDriver, we can create robust browser-based regression automation suites and tests we can develop using WebDriver. So robust browser-based regression suites and tests we can prepare for WebDriver. So once we write a WebDriver script, that scripts will run, that scripts or test will run robust browsers. So all the browsers it's going to be execute. Okay now, so we build all the SELENIUM WebDriver scripts using SELENIUM WebDriver component. So once we develop the browser-based regression suites and tester, we are supposed to execute them in different platforms and different browsers. Yes, who will does that? Yes, SELENIUM Grid is one of the component. If you want to scale by distributing and running the developer tests on several missions to manage multiple environments from a central point, making it easy to run the test against a vast combination of browsers and operating system, then we want to use the SELENIUM Grid. So if you want to scale and distribute in promoting to execute your WebDriver scripts in parallel in many operating systems and in many browsers, then we have to depend on SELENIUM WebDriver component. So as to say, which is the best which is the combination, which is a preferred combination for SELENIUM means WebDriver with a grid. Using WebDriver, we build robust browser-based regression suites and tests. Using grid, we scale and distribute in executing your developer scripts parallelly in many operating systems and in many browsers. The appropriate combination for SELENIUM was WebDriver with the grid. This is the components we use that. If you want to implement the grid, yes, we must do some setup, creating like a hub and the nodes. Hub is the kind of server, nodes are nothing but kind of clients. In networking, how we differentiate the names like server and then clients. And here similar way in grid, we call this terminology as hub and nodes. Hub is a kind of server, nodes are nothing but kind of clients. Like this. We do setup and we configure and we throw our script to the assign the script to the grid. The grid will take care and executing the scripts, same scripts repeatedly in many computers and many operating systems, many browsers parallel. So that's we go with SELENIUM WebDriver with a grid. So in SELENIUM WebDriver, what are the components we are discussing? What are the things we are discussing in SELENIUM? If that question comes to me, is I'm giving you clarification, those who has joined newly for today. So these are things which I am covering, friends, here. Once completion of Java, and then after we go with the WebDriver launchings, like various browsers, how do we launch using WebDriver? We'll see, friends, and we'll make the launching browser functionalities dynamically, because opening the browsers is common activity for every test case. We never write standalone programs even in real time, friends. The standalone programs will work to that script only, not for all the scripts. Once you write a script dynamically, that will be used for a number of test cases. Such a way, I'll make you to prepare the scripts in a dynamic way in launching the browsers. Just we define a functions, we pass it parameters, that's it. And next, we talk about profiles and we talk about options class. Friends, once you are testing your application manually means if any source stoppers comes during executions when you're doing manually, your intention will be there, you can handle that. Example to understand. Suppose once you open one application that causes some notifications, browser notifications comes. Until unless you take necessary action on that notification, it never allows to the next level in application. Yes. So you manually your testing means you can handle them. But when we are doing through automation, everything is automation engineer responsible. Everything is automation engineer responsible. So how can we handle them? So any proxy settings on the browsers, any certificate errors, any maximizing the browsers, any browser notifications, all comes from the browsers. So to handle them, automation engineer is responsible. Manual means we can handle, our presence will be there. In automation, our presence will not be there. So we must handle them. How can we handle? So we must take the browser into our control. So we have to vasikarna the browser. How can we vasikarna the browser? Just by creating the browser user-defined profiles. Chrome user-defined profile. Firefox user-defined profile. We will be taking the browsers into our charge, into our control. Then we can play what we like. So we can play with using respect to browser options class. Just create a user-defined profiles using profile concept, and we will do necessary settings configurations using the options class for Chrome, options class for Firefox, like this. Like this, what any kind of settings on browser level we can do. So maximizing browser, disabling information bars, page load strategies, certificate errors, proxy settings, notifications, logs, etc., etc. All browser related things we can manage using profiles and options class. And whereas come to the synchronization says, we know that our applications elements loading time will take more to load the elements in a pages. But whereas our automation scripts are very fast in execution, where there is a chance of synchronization issues occurs between these two, script and application. As automation engineer, we must be active major role there in making syncing between these two. So where we use some synchronization methods, behaviors like thread dot sleep, implicit wait, explicit wait, like this we have, we'll make syncing between these two. And coming to the locators. Friends, in a web application, we will have a web elements. So many web elements will be having text boxes, radio buttons, checkbox, web tables, web calendars, links, drop downs, etc., etc. Images. So many web elements are present in your web application. How do I interact? How do I interact? If I want to perform any action on any one of the element, how do I interact? Friends, even we are human beings. If we want to interact any of your friend, what we do? We will be using one of his property. Name is one of the property to identify the person. Yes. So friends, we are not only names. Apart from names, we have so many properties every human being has. A starting baby coming from mother womb, we get a baby is very handsome, very colorish, weight, height, all these things talks when the baby come from mother womb. After 9 days, we keep namakarana, first name, last name, nickname, pet names, and from starting from child baby birth, we will be applying for Aadhaar card is one of the identity for the child, and he's a citizen of US, we get SSL number. If he's 18 years, we get voter card number. If he's about 23, you'll get job, you'll get employee ID. All these are the properties for the person's height, weight, color, complexity. All these are first name, last name, surname, nickname, SSL number, Aadhaar card number, voter card number, okay, employee ID. All these are properties for the persons to identify. Based on the various causes, we'll be using that properties. Suppose you are contesting in elections, so the identity there is the voter card. Yes. So if you want to purchase any goods, electronic goods, the identity is the Aadhaar card. If you're working as employee to calculate salaries, employee ID is the source there. If you're being a citizen US, SSL number is a source to identify. Yes. If you are working as an employee, if you want to call any persons, the name is the property there to you have to declare. So based on need, that properties we are using to identify the objects or persons, whatever it is. Now, in web application, we have various web elements are there. How do I identify all the web elements? So like how the human being has some properties, a similar way, the application elements also have some set of properties defined by the developers. Like how we have properties, set of properties to get identified. Even some web application elements also has some set of properties defined by the developers. But with those properties only, we are going to be interact the web elements. Okay. So here basic and see most of the people will struggling in identifying the elements, we finding the elements only. So totally 6 hours we'll be working on locators only. In that 3 hours we are working on basic understanding of locators. Remaining 3 hours, so we are working on XPaths and CSS selectors, and we'll see some examples on XPath and CSS. How to write your own XPaths, dynamic XPaths, okay, and how to work with CSS selectors, and with some examples, we'll see that. Totally 6 hours we'll be working on locators only, where people mostly struggles there. And Marvin project. So any project you are building will use some build tools in DevOps it was. Of course, we have Ant is one build tool, Gradle is one build tool, Marvin is one build tool. Ant got deprecated, and nowadays organizations are using build tool as a Marvin 90%. 10% people are using Gradle as a build tools. So using Marvin build tool only, we used to build the projects, we add the dependencies, we add the plugins, we execute the programs to that, we run the goals in the Marvin. Okay, na? All those things we'll talk on Marvin. And come to the test engine framework. Friends, SELENIUM itself don't have any built-in frameworks. So we'll be using one external framework, which is TestNG, which is defined by Java. In TestNG, everything will talk in manner of annotations. We have so many annotations are there: before annotations, test annotations, after annotations, parameters, data providers, listeners. Like this, we have so many annotations and respect to parameters we have. We will talk importance of each annotations, how this annotation execution takes place, what is the priorities we can make the test to execute. If you want to run your test cases parallelly to save the execution period, how to run these test cases parallelly, irrespective of the tests, irrespective of the methods, irrespective of the classes, irrespective of the suits, how can I make my test case execution parallel? How to group the test cases, how to set the test dependencies, how to report a pass-fail status in a test engine report, how to work with the test engine listeners, how to work with the data providers, how to rerun the failed test cases. Okay, na? How to work with the assertion, soft assets, hard assets to report the pass and failures. All these things will be discussed in TestNG framework. Lastly, we will do some pilot project on TestNG also. 9 hours will be working on a TestNG framework only. In the note, everything will discuss. And next come to the page object model. There itself meaning says we are working irrespective to the pages. You know, in our web application, we can find a pages, web pages, group of pages, combination of pages together we call one web application. Supposed to say login is one page, add to cart is one page, women's wear is one page, men's wear is one page, kids wear is one page. Like this, we have various pages together forms as website or web application. So every web page has some group of web elements and operations. Okay, now. So instead of maintaining, suppose one web application has 10 pages. Instead of storing all page web elements and operations in one Java class, we divide that pages as separate Java classes. See, always divide and rule policy is the best app policy in organizing things and where to build the things, where to execute the things. So when we segregate the functionalities, some load will be decreased. See, all functionalities in one Java class, it takes more load. SROC even if you want to put 10 tons of 10 tons of bag in one lorry, how much load it was? 1 ton bag, how much it was? You observed. Okay, na? So like this, you are balancing the things, page level operations and web elements. We are keeping in separate Java class. 10 pages are there, 10 Java classes remain there. The advantage is like, see, whenever you execute the programs, the respect to Java class page, the corresponding Java class only we are loading, some buttons is releasing or not. And if any new change request comes, it's very easy. Which page, that page corresponding Java class, we go and we change. If any issues comes, we debug to respond. And if any newcomer comes also, it's quite easy to understand the things. All these are advantages of using page object model. We'll discuss all those things in page object model. Right? And automating links. We can find number of web elements in our applications. Majority of the elements we can find as a links only. How do we interact with links? Static links, dynamic links, broken links, hidden links, specific header links. How can we interact with the links? One fine day we'll talking about automating links. And coming to the automating drop downs. A drop down means where we use to select multiple option or single option. To select the options as a singular multiple, we have various ways of selecting the options. We can select the options by using send keys. We can select the option by using select class. We can select the option by using JavaScript executors. We can use by selecting options by actions class. In various ways, how do we select options in drop downs? We'll see one fine day. And coming to the pop-ups. Friends, various types of pop-ups will appear during your executions where which interrupts your executions. Any kind of alerts comes, you must be in a position to handle it. See, security alerts comes, JavaScript alerts comes, HTML alerts comes, any kind of alerts comes, we must be in a position to handle them. We'll talk about one fine day about all the handling the pop-ups or alerts. So actions class. Friends, are using WebDriver, some of the advanced elements cannot be interacted directly by SELENIUM WebDriver. In that case, we will take a support of actions class. Like advanced elements like mouse overing. Some of the elements, once I mouse over on that particular web element, the elements are getting populated. That kind of we call as a mouse overing elements. So right clicking, double clicking, chain actions, dragging and dropping elements, automating slide bars. These kind of elements, advanced elements, directly cannot interact it through WebDriver. That will take care of actions class. Combination with WebDriver actions class through, we are going to be handle this kind of advanced elements. And JavaScript executors. What we interact with the WebDriver, similar way, we will be interacting through JavaScript executor also. I will demonstrate all these things using JavaScript executor as well. And next is automating windows. Friends, my SELENIUM is purely automates web elements only. See the tag, we have seen that. SELENIUM automates browsers, that's it. It never automate Windows elements. Suppose once you're working with web application elements, suddenly Windows related things comes, yes, my SELENIUM will do hands up, even though we are in a position to handle them. Yes, there are so many open source Windows automation tools are there where to automate the Windows elements. So there are AutoIT, Sukali, robotics, like this. We have various Windows automation tools are there. With using that, we can automate the Windows application elements. Here I was preferring AutoIT to go how to install AutoIT, how to automate the Windows element, how to compile the AutoIT code, how do we associate this AutoIT code into your WebDriver scripts. All these things I will demonstrate in the automating Windows components. And coming to the web tables. So in our web applications, we can find some web tables. In that web tables, we can find various web elements like checkboxes. See, tables contains rows and columns. Right? In each row, we have a number of cells are there. In that cells only, in that particular cell in the table, we can find any one of web element like checkbox, a radio button, link, or whatever it is. How do I interact the web element which is reside in the table? The tables can be static, some tables can be dynamic. Static means fixed rows will be there in the table. Fixed rows, fixed columns. That's a static table. Some dynamic tables, you know that the keep on increasing that columns. Okay, dynamic tables how to work. Paginations. Some of the web tables will maintain as a pages. See, first page you have 10 rows of table, 10 rows data. Second page we have another 10 rows of data. Third page we have like this. The pages will be that's a web table paginations. How can we work with web table paginations? Web calendars, you know, date pickers. How do we select dates? That also is a web table only. It contains all these things we'll talk. And coming to the input sources. Friends, once you develop your test cases, we require some test data. Yes, we have various data sources where we can organize our test data, properties files, XML files, Microsoft Excel. Like this, there are various data sources where we can manage our data. So 7 to 8 hours will be working on all these various data sources. And coming to the grid. As I said, in Selenium, WebDriver with grid is the combination. Using a grid, we used to scale and distribute in executing your developed scripts parallelly in many computers and many browsers. Here we do some setup like hub and nodes. Okay, and we implement that code. The code grid in executing parallelly. So this will does worth 3 hours. Grid setup all 3 hours will be working on this. Okay. So these are things which we cover in Selenium WebDriver with Grid. So we will work with DevOps. DevOps is a culture which extends so many components, not only this, Maven, GitHub Server, Jenkins, Gradle, Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, etc., etc. All these components together we call as DevOps as a culture. These DevOps will be used by the developers, testers, deployment team, integration team. As the testers, we'll be involving majorly in the DevOps components like Maven, GitHub Server, Jenkins. Where Maven is a build tool, every project will be developed in build tool called Maven. And every work should be accountable to across the team members, where we have to distribute our code across the team members. So we use some distributed connectivity tool, which is like a GitHub servers. It's a distributed servers where we can commit the code, we can push the code, we can collaborate the code across the team members using the GitHub servers. And then once we push the code, collaborate across the team, then that code is supposed to be scheduled for executions automatically using Jenkins CI pipeline tool. We can schedule our executions automatically. How you want to execute? Hourly, weekly, monthly, quarterly, soon after code is committed in a GitHub server. How you want to schedule your executions? Through Jenkins, we can schedule it. So our process is going to be automated by using DevOps components. Using Maven build tool, we develop your test cases. And GitHub server, distributed server, where we